Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geek Addicts, the pop culture podcast where I thought we won, but all of a sudden everything's got super extra convoluted. I'm Bill, and this is Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Oh, I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Bill?
I'm tired. This has been one of those weekends where I've not been sleeping well. So that's
It's
always
it's
great.
been a rough few weeks in general, really.
Yeah. Well, Alex turned 30 yesterday. Well,
Join the club.
she got to have one of those fun weekends where she gets to basically birthday all weekend because leap year. But
Yep.
yeah, I had to. They went to New York yesterday, and I had to pick them up, and their train didn't get back till like 11 at night. So
Damn.
I couldn't even have a beer. Like I was just like waiting because I had to go drive and pick them up.
Yeah, you could have had a beer. I think it would have been fine.
Yeah, I would have probably fallen asleep. Honestly, I was
Fair.
already tired.
Fair.
Because I proceeded to go home, have
Picking
a
up.
beer, and then fall asleep on the couch. So
Well, by that point, I can't say I'm surprised. But yeah, it's just been a big week of just trying to fucking catch up with all the bullshit that all the bullshit that happened from the snowstorms. Like we lost a lot of food, we had to replace it all, and fucking that sucked because we had a lot of meat in our freezer, and that you'd think, when everything's fucking frozen, you put all the freezer stuff outside when everything's fucking frozen. You'd think it would stay frozen, right?
no,
Yeah, no, it's all no good. So
because
we had a lot of meat too. That really sucked.
Yeah, because weather is fucking never consistent.
Yeah.
Because that was the weird part. We got all that snow, but it like wasn't super cold.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah. It's fucking it's New England. That's New England.
Yep.
And then tomorrow is supposed to be cold as shit, and then the whole rest of the week is gonna be like the weekdays are gonna be like in the mid to high 40s, and then the weekend's gonna be like 50s and 60s. Weirdly enough.
Anything to melt the snow so we can see the fucking damage. Because I've seen some of the roads and holy shit, they have fucking massacred so much shit up here.
All right, well, you know how the streets are down here, and just from what I've seen so far, like the plowing hasn't made it any better.
They're like just tearing up the fucking grass and shit, and like dirt is getting like ripped out of the ground because the plow drivers are just I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
They're doing what plow drivers do, and that's namely drinking and driving.
Scraping pavement, not snow.
Everybody knows that. Fucking if you go out and you're plowing through the night, you are drinking. Like that's one of those unwritten rules.
Yeah.
At least in New England. I don't know how it is in other areas of the United States.
Well, down south they don't get enough snow, so
in New England, if you're plowing, you're drinking.
Yeah, just don't be like that one dumbass that like recorded himself drinking and posted it on fucking Facebook. Like, the fuck did he think was gonna happen?
But no, aside from that, I don't remember if it was before or after our last recording, but I beat Chrono Trigger. So now I'm at a weird point where I've beaten Chrono Trigger and I've beaten Hades, the two games that I was primarily playing. So I'm in that weird like video game purgatory where I'm not sure what to do.
I hear you. I've been I'm about to start playing Tales of Berseria pretty soon because that's our next 3D out game.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So that's gonna be my gaming going forward.
What was I gonna say? So yeah, we had our required reading for the week, and then after I finished up that, I started reading All-Star Superman.
Oh, nice.
And I only have like 2.5 issues left of it. But it was interesting, but it kind of feels like all over the place.
That's just Grant Morrison.
Okay, fair enough.
Everything because
it almost seems like each issue is unrelated. Like as you start reading the next issue, and then like they'll be like, "Oh, by the way, Superman, he's dying because he's overdosing on sunlight." It's just like, oh, so we are still doing that. I thought we were just jumping around and doing different things.
No, that's just how Grant Morrison writes. They're very peculiar. They write great stuff, but it is weird. Thankfully, All Star Superman is a standalone book. Like it's not canon to the continuity,
Hmm.
um,
I did think
which
it
is
was
great.
weird that like almost at the very beginning, he's just like, I'm just gonna tell Lois that I'm Superman. And he tells her, and she's like, nah, I don't think so. And then they just pretend that didn't happen going forward.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. There's a
She's
lot
just
more.
like, I think you're lying. I don't think so.
Yeah, it was a lot more dramatic in the main continuity
That's fair.
because they had started dating before that, and they were like about to get married when he revealed it. So they actually had chemistry for once.
Hmm. Fair enough.
Yeah, All Star is
But
an
no,
interesting
it's
book
funny.
because a lot of people consider it like the best Superman story ever written, which I'm not sure I agree with that, but I do. It is one of the better ones, but I also don't think it should be the main like the end all be all Superman.
That's fair. I mean, it's fine. Maybe it's just because I don't have all like the pre-existing lore or whatever that they're constantly referring to, but I don't know. It's like I say, it's not like I'm not enjoying it, but it also is kind of cementing the fact that I'm just not really much of a Superman guy.
Yeah, curious what you'll think of Birthright when you eventually read that because that's more of a more close to can. Well, it was for a while his origin story before they decided to do a different origin story because they can't fucking decide. But
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying like I'm not gonna read any Superman ever again or anything. It just further like punctuates the whole like my feelings on Superman thing. Which isn't to say that I don't find any joy in it. It's not like I don't enjoy Superman at all. It's not the kind of thing I generally gravitate to.
see, I'd have to find some specific books like that are. The thing about Superman is, if you're not a Superman fan, you really need to find like the right story to understand the character. Unfortunately,
That makes sense. I said that's it's not like a painting with a broad brush. It's specifically like I don't know. I've always been more of like the grittier side of DC,
which is fair. Um,
or
kind of
like
neat.
the static kind of Spider-Man-y, like fast talking. I'm gonna make fun of you while I beat your ass kind of guy.
I mean, I grew up with Wally West, and he was very interestingly written. That's all. I mean, I love Mark Waid's writing, so that's just me. That's actually why I'm curious about your thoughts on Birthright whenever you eventually get around to that one, because Mark Waid wrote Birthright, and Mark Waid is a guy who really gets Superman.
Yeah, although on the subject of static though, I did end up ordering the Static DC's Finest. It should be here today, actually. I was hoping it would have shown up before we started recording, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
and I did learn since that the rankings that they have on Amazon are like they fluctuate a lot day to day. But when it was like a couple days ago, I was just going through all the DC's Finest and all the compacts just because I was curious where Static stood in both cases. And at least the day that I did it, because the rankings are all different now. But the day that I did it, the DC's Finest Static was 8th in the DC's Finest. So like and like the only things that were beating it were like there's like 3 Batman ones, a Teen Titans, a Superman, and I think a Green Lantern.
Okay.
Oh, no, not Green Lantern, a Green Arrow.
That makes more sense because there's only been 2 Green Lanterns so far, and they're old. That doesn't surprise me because Batman and Superman are just going to sell, regardless.
Yeah. And then for the compacts, it was like more in the middle ranking for those ones.
See the difference
but the
there.
Compacts overall, like in general, the compacts have higher. Basically, like even though the Static Season 1 compact was in the middle for the compact comics,
yeah,
it still had a higher ranking than any of the DC's Finest.
Well, those are $40 as opposed to 10, so
yeah,
it's got to be one of those things.
Basically, like the long and short of the point I'm getting to is I think it's probably pretty safe to say that there will be follow-ups to both.
Hopefully. I mean, I hope so. I'm a little worried about DC right now, though.
Why's that?
You hear about the Warner Brothers sale, right?
No.
Netflix got outbid
Oh, they did?
by Paramount.
Like, is it like official? Like, they definitely.
Netflix has pulled out.
Oh,
So
wow. That's.
yeah, we might be screwed, but we'll see what happens. I don't know.
How involved are they really going to get on the comic side of it, though?
We don't know. That's the thing, because we could be like when Disney bought Marvel, and they got pretty involved. So
Yeah, but that's Disney. I don't think Paramount's on Disney's level as far as evil cultish corporations go.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that, because yeah, it's been very this. I've already seen videos of people burning all their DC stuff, and I'm just like, you guys are fucking stupid. First
Yeah,
off,
that's ridiculous.
like whenever I see show them, that's gonna show them right there.
Yeah.
You
Jokes
don't
on
have
them,
to
they already
buy.
got the money.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, you don't have to buy new stuff if you don't want to. But burning all your old stuff, yeah, that'll show right there.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, we'll see what happens there. I'm hoping for the best. I mean, I get why the DC Finest static would probably sell better because that's a more well-known run. I know season 1 wasn't for everybody. So
yeah, well, they were leaning real hard into like we'll say current affairs of the time.
Well, yeah,
like
that
5 years ago.
They went for a more modern take, which was fine, but it also was not the character a lot of people grew up with.
It took me a little bit to move past it when I was reading it.
Yeah,
it's just again, like the whole like I fully am behind and support like wanting there to be a message in the story you're writing, but there is a fine line between a well-told message and becoming preachy.
yeah.
And
Unfortunately,
whenever it's like a super obvious point they're trying to make, I'm always like, I always have to put my guard up just in case, because it's real easy to get preachy with that kind of thing.
I will say we'll save it when we get to it, but there was a moment in this week's topic where I was reading and I got to a certain panel and I was like, oh, they weren't being subtle here, not at all. We'll get to it, but yeah, it's been I haven't done a bunch of reading. I finished rereading my current can't speak. I did finish rereading the current Superman run, the Joshua Williamson stuff up to where the trades are. So, been enjoying that so far. I think it's actually a really good run on Superman.
Very nice.
Other than that, I did go to our local Barnes and Noble up here, and they had early the last volume of Dragon Ball Super.
I still gotta order that. Yeah, well, we just filed our taxes on Friday, so
I'm gonna do that in a few weeks.
With any luck, I'll be able to fucking grab that last volume.
Unrelated, but I bought these Jack Daniels ginger ales, and oh boy, it's like you have one sip, and you're like, I don't like this, but then I'm kind of like, it's kind of good though. 7% alcohol.
Yikes.
But
yeah, yeah, like I said, I'm almost done with the Superman one. I'm not sure if I want to dive straight into the static when I finish it, or because I was also kind of really thinking about reading that American Vampire one.
Maybe change it up a bit. Read something that's like not superhero.
Well, that was kind of my plan, was that I was going to like kind of go every other, like I did, V for Vendetta, and then I did Superman, and then I was gonna do the American Vampire, then I was gonna do, well, originally Batman, but now that the static one's gonna be here soon, I'll probably read that.
Let me know when you get to Watchmen, because I think Watchmen, that's one that I'd like to do for the show at some point.
Yeah. But no, that's going well so far.
Oh, the other thing I found was I found the Dragon Ball Super, but I also found the new Chainsaw Man. And
Oh, nice.
what the fuck even is that manga anymore? Like, I haven't even got to the really insane shit yet. But like, I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy. Like I read the most recent couple of chapters a week or two ago, and yeah, it's getting to a point where I'm kind of just like, all right, let's get this going. Like let's, and the chapters are so quick too, so you wait like a week or two for each chapter, and then you
Like,
finish reading it within like 5 minutes. And you're like, okay, I guess I'll just sit on my hands and wait.
yeah, like a spoiler warning, but like the most recent manga volume, they're at the point where Asa gets her arms back, kind of, and I'm just
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm just like, huh? I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Oh,
Yeah. Bang.
now we're in purgatory. Sure,
Yep.
why not? Um, I love the fact too that they're like, anytime you think something's gonna happen, like they're gonna go somewhere with the characters, it's like Denji's like, no, I can't do that, and I'm just like, sure, Denji, sure,
Yeah, right. We all know you're going to, so just shut up.
yeah. I'm just like, okay. I did enjoy the little existential crisis between Asa and Yoro, though. That's always fun. I really like them as characters, even though I don't really quite like where the book's going at this point.
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man's weird. It's like I like the story, but I'm like, he is like just like dragging his feet right now, and I'm like, what are you? Come on, man, come on.
That's kind of just his character, though. You know?
Well, it gets me because the first part fucking flies by, and then this part they've been just like whatever he's doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, when I read that,
Yeah, well.
I love the art. The art's still great. Like, so that's one thing.
Yeah. I'm pretty close to finishing up the like fifth wave of the Arrowverse.
Nice.
Only because I already watched through the entirety of the Legends and Black Lightning seasons for that wave. So now I just have Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow.
Yeah.
Actually, I just got the part where it was after Oliver got kidnapped by Prometheus.
Yep.
And he kept doing the whole like, tell me your secret, Oliver. And he's like doing the whole thing, and then he finally like he snaps and just like, yeah, I killed him because I wanted to and I liked it. And he's just like, I give up. I'm done. He's like, I'm not doing the thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's like it's a pretty intense scene. I liked it. I like that a lot. So I say like I know a lot of people say like after season 5.
Oh yeah, the show takes a fucking dump after season 5, like very quickly.
Well, season 5 is weird though because like I got my order mixed up because I thought this season happened in season 6 because like we're still getting like the 5 years ago flashbacks of like his time in Russia and everything, but like we also keep getting these little flashes to when he first started being the Arrow in Starling City, because like the whole thing where like the big bad of that arc is the son of one of the people he killed in season 1. And like I for some reason I thought that happened in season 6 because I remember they started doing a thing where they started flashing back to his early days instead of his time, being lost at sea, I guess. So,
I love looking back at that show and looking at how much they were trying to like be different from the comics at times, like because he was never Green Arrow, he was just the Arrow. I'm just like, sure.
Well, he became the Green Arrow in season 4.
Yeah, but they still like really were trying to. Well, because by then that we were transitioning into DC was starting to fight itself again. I'll always remember though. I had a friend as a loose term back in the day who got really into Arrow, and we'd chat about it. And anytime I'd refer to a character by their comic name, he would be like one of those nerds who'd be all like, "It's the Arrow," and I'd be like, "No one cares, dude. Like nobody cares." Because I'd say Black Canary, and he'd be like, "It's the Canary." I'm like, no one gives a shit. Like nobody cares.
Yeah,
it's literally the same thing.
Pretty much.
Well, kind of. Dina got.
Well, they end up going by those names later in the show, but
yeah, Dina got kind of screwed up in that show. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Well, it's okay though because after Laurel dies, they go out and they found a meta who has the same type of power, and her name is Dinah, so it's fine. Just don't
Ah,
even think about it.
right. Of course. It's because
They
that makes
Wally
sense.
Wested her.
Well, Wally West was more, they were like, we're going to bring the character back, but just make him a different character. Oh, no one likes it? You're being racist. And I'm just like, no, people don't like it. You made a different fucking character. And then they fucking like brought back the real Wally, and then they were like, well, we can't get rid of this one, so we're gonna just make them both Wally, and then we're gonna actually make this character a good character as well. Like
It's
there,
like you could have just done that from the start.
yeah, basically. The new 52. I could go on for hours, but yeah,
Oh god.
yeah. I'm glad they finally got both of them figured out. Even though the other Wally goes by Ace now, so whatever.
That's okay.
Just so they could write the two of them on screen at the same time, basically.
Fair enough, I guess.
Even though the guy who came up with that nickname realized real fast after, he's like, wait a minute. Ace the Bat Hound. Oh no.
So yeah, Cindy and I are still making progress on JoJo's. We're I think about 2/3 of the way through part 3 right now.
Nice.
Give or take. And that has been interesting. It's been so much fun watching her experience it for the first time. It's just so entertaining. Like I'm at a point now where I'm more entertained by her reactions to the show than I am by the show itself.
That's
Which
fair.
is saying a lot because I love the show. The show is great, but
yeah, I'll get to it at some point this year. I'm still kind of just not in an anime mood right now.
yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, like I'm watching that with her, and then like basically I'm not like watching week to week technically with all the ongoings. What I've been doing is whenever I finish an Arrowverse wave, then I'll binge the episodes that have come out since, and that's how I've been doing it.
Gotcha. So you haven't seen the latest Vigilantes?
No.
Okay. They wrap up the arc they're on. That's all that really happens.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I'm still just watching that Jujutsu Kaisen and then Frieren right now.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha.
So Frieren's still great. The most recent Frieren was really good. We're already almost halfway. We're already halfway done with the season.
I think the last one I watched was when Fern and Stark go on their date.
Yeah, that was last week's episode. That was fun too.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. It was a very nice episode.
It was such a realistic date because they literally are like, "What do we do? I don't know."
So this is like a weird thing for me. I don't know why I started doing this, but I've been liking it. So I get up like a good like hour and a half before I actually have to leave to go to work in the morning, just so I can I have time to have my coffee and sit down and fucking wake up and have my moment by myself before I have to go and deal with today's bullshit.
Yeah.
And I got really tired of doom scrolling throughout that time.
Yeah, I've stopped doing that entirely.
And what I started doing is I've been putting on the Barker era of Price is Right on Tubi in the morning.
That works.
And it's been fucking weird watching that. Like watching those old episodes, like 80s, 90s, like between like 70s and 90s Bob Barker, Price is Right, like because yeah, man, it's just this weird like nostalgia trip. Because I know, like anytime you went to any fucking old person's house or like you went to like your aunt's house or whatever, that fucking Price is Right was always on. Like no matter what. But back when we were kids, it's Price is Right or Wheel of Fortune or Deal or No Deal. Or not a deal, fucking Let's Make a Deal.
Jeopardy, like all those shows. Or in some cases, America's Funniest Home Videos.
But it was mostly The Price is Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah. So that's been fun. Just kind of having that on when I'm having my coffee in the morning.
You know what's great about watching those old shows Like you go back and you see just some of the comments that the hosts make, and you're like, "Oh, you couldn't say that today."
Yeah, I know it.
Like I was watching some old America's Funniest Home Videos recently, some of the early Tom Bergeron era, and I was just like, "God damn it!" Like they could not make those jokes nowadays. Like
One of my favorite things with The Price is Right though is when like they're doing the whole like deciding who goes next by like the bidding thing, and it'll be like $400, Bob, and the next person come up and be like um uh 401, Bob. And you just see the person next to them just going like, "You fucking bitch!"
yeah, it's
Like,
always that.
every time they're just like,
No,
"You fucking dick."
the funniest, the best ones were you get the person who would be like $400, and the next person would be like 399. Like, just like yeah, that makes it better.
And then like, oh, it's even best when it's like, oh, $400 and 401, and the next person be like 402, and just keeps going. It's just
401 cent. Like just some
it's like, wow, okay.
stupid shit. Because my God, people are The Price is Right is so dumb, but I love it.
I love it though. I love it.
Any of those old
It's
game
been
shows.
fun going back to it.
The best is those game shows where it's like especially Jeopardy, where like you see the question on screen and you know the answer, but the person's like, and you're just like, you're like sitting there going like, come on.
And then yeah, because we went through a similar thing like maybe a year ago. We were going through like a Wheel of Fortune kick, but it was on Tubi as well, so it was like old like it's like 80s Wheel of Fortune, which is I don't know, it's just fun. I don't know, like game shows aren't the same as they used to be. They're not as fun.
Well, no, everything's like sterile as fuck now. Like, do you remember back when Nickelodeon had game shows?
Oh yeah,
I remember Double Dare.
oh yeah, classic.
I remember the 2000s attempted revival that lasted one season because no one watched it. Classics.
Yeah. But speaking of Tubi, they dumped a bunch of that stuff on there today.
Nice.
And I was just kind of floating through it a little bit. I tried putting on Powerpuff Girls for Francis this morning, and she was kind of into it a little bit, but I think it's one of those things that's going to take time because sometimes it takes a few times watching it before she really like attaches to something.
Yeah, Powerpuff Girls was tough too because that show took a few episodes to really get
what they were doing. Yeah,
yeah, because it was kind of a little disjointed at first.
And then also what was it? I because she was already into like the concept of it, I tried putting on the 90s Ninja Turtles. And she seemed a little bit more receptible. I don't know the word to that.
Well, 90s Ninja Turtles is very easy to get into because it's just kind of stupid. Like the 2003 show, that one's like dark as fuck for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like one of the only good things 4Kids ever did.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to.
Nice. Yeah, it's been a couple months. We're getting through it though.
Yeah. Well, we got like another like month or so before we really start seeing spring. I mean, like I said, like, we do have like a 60-degree day coming up, which is fucking wild to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna be driving up the street and I'm gonna see like fucking like people in like shorts. I'll be like, you guys are psychotic.
Hey, they exist.
Yeah.
It certainly exists.
Yeah. Oh well. I guess we should probably get into our topic for this episode.
Yeah.
So we're doing another manga catch up. We're doing is this the fourth Death Note we've done?
Oh wait, I think so. I think so.
That makes sense. Yeah, Death Note is Death Note. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, pretty much. Because we left off last time where L has died, and Light is pretty much the first thing that happens in this reading is Light is named the new L, and his dad decides to be like the keeper of the notebook, or everybody kind of votes for him to be the one, which makes sense in context. And then almost immediately we get like this little montage of just like everybody who was involved with anything with the Death Note up to this point is immediately killed. So everybody in the Yotsuba group, the two criminal people that they worked with, Weddy and Iber, they're both killed. It's just like he just fucking sweeps and just kills everybody except the task force, and that's all that's left. Which you gotta wonder why he left them alive in the first place. Maybe he just didn't feel like killing his dad.
Because we noticed very quickly going through this second half of Death Note, Light gets kind of lazy at points and like leaves like these very crucial ways that could take him down, and he's just kind of like, yeah, that's fine. I won't worry about it.
Well, he beat L, so now he's got that like super, like he was already overconfident god complex, like super hard into that. And then after he beat the one guy he thought that like actually could put him away, by that point he's like, all right, I'm on top of the world, nobody can touch me. Like by that point.
Yeah. And he wasn't expecting there to be more of them.
Yeah. He's like they were raising them up in a lab, I guess. I don't know.
Which I have to say, the anime, he didn't really do it for me, but in the manga, N is it's N, right?
Near N, whatever you want to call him.
He is so interesting to me because they literally just made him a more insufferable L.
Honestly, like I'm kind of with you. I think both Near and Mello kind of got the shaft in the anime. In the manga, they're much more interesting characters.
Well, Mello was okay in the anime. Like at least his like arc was for the most part not super nerfed. I think a lot of it came from their voice actors weren't particularly great. Because that's one thing I noticed about watching Death Note is like the voice actors that were good were very good, and the ones that were bad were very bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
Misa, for example.
I don't think it's that she's bad. I think it's just that she was going for a very specific, which makes sense for the character. I'm not saying she made the wrong choice with the voice she went with. You know, I think Misa's supposed to be insufferable. That's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah, but she went too hard at points, and I'm like, there were moments where like she was supposed to be serious, and it just didn't come off that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Also,
Light and Misa end up moving in together.
They sure do, and it is like it's just so stupid because she's all like, "Oh hell yeah," and he's just like, "Yeah, I don't actually care about you, but whatever."
He's like, "You have the eyes. That's what I care about. That's keeping you close."
L is honest, not L. Light is honestly, the more you read, the more you're like, this guy's a piece of shit. Like this guy really sucks.
And like you wouldn't think that like right when he's first introduced and he's first starting to get it, you're like, yeah, I can kind of get what you're doing. I'm kind of behind you a little bit. And then like as it goes on, you're like, oh no. I don't like this.
By post L's death, he becomes such an insufferable prick. Like, and I'm just like to the point where like you're like, I don't even want this guy to win. But at the same time, there's like no hero in this story. So you're kind of just like, what do I do?
No, there is a hero. He just, he dies in this week's reading. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. I guess he was a hero in the sense that he was the only morally okay person.
He was the most moral person.
Yeah,
I'd say.
The sad way he goes to.
Yeah. But then we get a time skip. 5 years pass, which for context, I think everything that happened from him getting the notebook to L dying was less than a year.
You know what the funniest part about the 5-year time skip is, though?
What's that?
Literally, if they didn't say it, you wouldn't fucking notice until his sister shows up. Like that is the only moment.
Yeah.
Because like she shows up.
His dad gets way more gray streaks in his hair. But aside from that, yeah,
way more gray streaks in his hair that you won't notice in the manga.
Yeah.
In the anime, yes, but in the manga, because I forgot about the time skip. So when his sister showed up again, I'm like, oh right, that's why she looks older in this part randomly.
Yeah, and Matsuda's like trying to fucking hit on her and shit.
Right next to her dad. I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
dude.
he's just like, I'll never let you marry a cop.
I love how he's like, do you think she's single? He's like, you're damn right she's single. like a little aggressive in there. They're going for the boss's daughter while he's right there.
Yeah, right. No shit. And I think at that point he had been promoted too. Like he wasn't just like the chief anymore. He's like the deputy director.
Also, like it kind of drove me nuts that like the artist for the manga, like he really does like it's a he, right?
I believe so.
Um, well, they go really like hard at times with the art, but anytime Misa's on screen, I'm always like, you just wanted to draw a sexy lady. That's all you
Yep.
wanted to do here.
That's literally why she was introduced. It was because like up to that point they were like, wow, this manga is such a sausage fest. We need some eye candy. And
Yeah,
that's why Misa was introduced.
yeah, because the only like woman up to that point that appears in the manga besides like Light's
Light's
mom
mom and
was
his sister.
the not counting them, that was the first like real major death in the series.
Oh yes, Naomi, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that's like the most fan servicey character here, and she's
And
really
she
not
was
fan servicey.
no, she's not fan servicey at all. She's actually very businesslike.
Yeah.
And she was such a good character too. I feel like she was super underutilized,
Oh
especially
no.
when you read the because there's a side novel, like a little light novel that's all about the case she worked on with Elle, and it's really good. She's a really good character.
That's kind of the thing. The problem I have with Death Note is like it has so many compelling characters, but all of them get killed off basically once they're introduced.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, so we get introduced briefly to Nier and Mello as they're being told that Elle is dead, and they're like, oh, and the dude who's running the orphanage they're at is like, hey, so Elle's dead. He never picked a successor. You guys should like totally work together. And Mello looks like disgusted by this. Like he makes the most like horrified face you could imagine.
You know what I never got here? Like
What?
they probably would have been fine if they worked together. Because N doesn't seem to care. Like Nier, he's very much just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. He was just like, yeah, that'd be fine, whatever.
And
And
he's
it's mostly Mello because Mello's got like the second place complex going on. Like,
yeah, and he's so like butthurt of it. I'm like, dude, this guy actually is competent. Just work together and like get the glory. Like, don't throw your bitch fit.
well, what I love about Nier and Mello as characters is they represent the two opposing sides of L, like personality wise. Like Nier is the very calm, very collected, very straightforward, straight thinking kind of guy. And then Mello brings in the chaos. Like whenever we're at like a static moment where nothing's really changing, Mello's the one who comes in and throws that chaos in and just shakes everything up. And that's what makes the pieces fall together.
Well, that was kind of one of the things about L early on that really like made it his dynamic with Light so interesting was the fact that L was super competent, but he was also unpredictable as fuck.
Mhm.
And I think that really like messed with Light to a point where it made it their dynamic super interesting because he could
Yeah.
never get a read on the guy. The problem with
And
N is super hyper competent, and he just gets under like Light's skin like constantly, which is hilarious.
yeah. Because he's not shy about just being a dick.
Oh yeah, he's
But
literally
he does it in such a straight laced way though.
he's literally L, but if he was like 10 times as insufferable.
Like there's this one scene in this reading where um I think it was somebody showed up. I think it was when they were doing the meetup with Mogi or whatever. And like as soon as Mogi shows up, he calls Light, and then Light answers the phone, and he's like, "Oh, wrong number, sorry." And he hangs up. He's like, "All right, so this guy clearly isn't the guy I think it is." And then Light's just sitting there like, "What the fuck?" He's just like so thrown off by it.
Yeah. Ugh. We also get that wonderful scene of the other what are the demons called in this? I'm already forgetting.
Shinigami.
One the other Shinigami who's like, guys, I lost my notebook and the boss told me to get fucked.
The funny thing about this is like this happened like obviously Ryuk took the notebook at the beginning of the series and then went down. So like it took him 6 years to realize he didn't have it.
Yeah, and I also like reading, like watching the anime and then reading the manga. I keep forgetting that like that first notebook wasn't actually his.
Yeah.
Because there's like 3 notebooks in play, and it gets kind of confusing where they're at different points.
Yeah, because sometimes you forget, like, oh yeah, when Rem died, they left their notebook. So there's a third one floating around because of that doesn't have a Shinigami tied to it. Because I think, I'm not 100% sure,
Yeah,
but
it's like,
we know. I don't know. Ignore me. Never mind. Yeah, I don't know. The whole Shinigami and like all the different notebooks in play definitely makes it a little bit more confusing when you
well,
start.
especially when they start swapping them around, because I'm then like, wait, which one is which at this point? I don't even remember.
Yeah. So like ultimately the one that the task force has that ends up getting taken in the exchange and then like ultimately ends up getting given back is the original notebook. So like when Sido, that Shinigami, goes back to the Shinigami realm, he has his actual like original notebook.
I loved his voice in the anime.
Yeah, because he was just such like he was like the nerd kid. He's sitting alone, like in the fucking cafeteria, like I don't know, stacking his fucking goldfish or something. Like
he literally is like, Rio, give me back my notebook, please.
Give me my notebook. Yeah, it was great. I love the voice they chose for him.
Like that was one of the funny ones, well, especially next to like Brian Drummond as Ryuk, who just like nailed that role.
Yeah.
Also, I love Ryuk's commentary anytime he's talking to Misa, like Light's talking to Misa, because Ryuk would just be like, "Oh, this is a loving relationship, huh?"
Like, yeah, I know he's such a sassy bitch.
The whole time just giving his commentary, and I love it.
That's great. So yeah, the time skip happens, and by this point, Nier has set up shop in America. He has formed the Special Provision for Kira, which is essentially the American version of the task force. And they are specifically going forward, not working with L or his group, because obviously Nier has that inside information that the current L is not the original L that he aspired to be. And just based on like shit that he was able to come up with, because when I first watched Death Note back in the day, for some reason I thought that L had like transferred all his information over to Nier, and that like all the information that he had gathered over the course of the whole thing he just passed along. But no, actually he wiped all that data. All that's gone.
Yeah,
all the information Nier knows he figured out on his own through his own means.
Which is super scary when you realize you're like, holy shit.
Like he found out that the notebook exists, and that the task force has it and everything, because like I guess there was like a couple of the random cops when they were trying to get Higuchi like just happened to overhear the whole notebook thing and gave them that information. It was like a whole convoluted like spin about how he gathered all this information over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Let's see. And this is the point where the director of the NPA gets kidnapped by Mello and his mafia group, I guess, because he just joined the mafia when he left, apparently.
Sure, why not?
Because he's very much like L, where he is not afraid to just use whoever he needs to get the results he wants.
Yeah, only he's a lot less eloquent about it.
Yeah, he'll just fucking plow through it if he needs to, but he also covers all of his bases, and you see that as you go through this. Like he leaves very little margin for error. It's usually things related to the Death Note, like the Shinigami, that ends up throwing things off for him.
Yeah, it's also very interesting too that that's another key thing that really messes up Light's plans. Is he spent all that time working, basically fighting against this one dude, and now he's got two of them, and like he's not doing well with two.
Yeah, especially because they both have very different styles about how they want to handle shit.
Well, because I think a lot of his downfall comes from the fact that he spends so much time focusing on one that he completely forgets about the other one.
Yeah.
And that ends up biting him in the ass later.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like almost immediately after they find out that the dude was kidnapped, some dude from the FBI shows up and is talking to Light's dad. Is like, "Hey, we know you have the notebook and we want it." And like Light's dad freaks out, thinking that they were the kidnappers and everything else. But ultimately, they end up working out like the miscommunication. And it's like, no, we just know about it. We have our own information gathering, but we'll help you out with this whole situation. And then fucking the dude just fucking hangs himself. The dude who was kidnapped because I think it's assumed. I don't think we actually get told, but I think it's assumed that Light killed him.
That's kind of the general thoughts. Anytime someone dies unexplainedly, it's either Light did it or Misa did it for Light.
Yeah. So and then the kidnappers call and they're very interesting about their choice of words because they don't specifically say we killed him. They say he's dead. We're gonna do the trade now for Sayu Yagami. Which obviously throws everybody off super hard.
Yeah. That what they do to Sayu is so fucking ridiculous in the story.
Yeah, she just gets like super fucking traumatized with the whole deal. I don't even think like anything like specific happened to her either. I think it was just the act itself of the kidnapping and the whole trade off and everything just fucked her up.
Well, what's crazy is when she gets rescued, like she seems fine, and then we don't see her till later, and she's just like wheelchair bound. I'm like, what happened?
I think she's just so fucking broken by the experience that she just can't deal.
Yeah, even in the anime, I was always like, what? I was so confused by that. I was like, okay,
yeah, she's just not dealing with it very well.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
But so yeah, so Light ends up contacting Nier, and Nier like fucking throws him for a loop by immediately being like, "Yeah, I know you're not L. Like, don't even try to bullshit me. Like, I've known for years."
Yeah,
and ultimately they end up deciding to work together to try and rescue Sayu and try to work it out in a way that they can not give the notebook, but we know how that works out.
Yep, and
Mother covers his bases.
That's like one of the first real chinks in the armor.
That's like Light's first like big defeat, like straight up, like because even with all the stuff with L, like he always was able to come up with a plan to kind of turn things back around. Like even when Misa was taken into confinement and then he was under suspicion, like heavily, he came up with a plan. And even though it took a few months to really like come to fruition, it was in process the whole time. And he was like, but with this, like he just straight up lost. There was nothing he could do about it. You know? And then they end up going, or rather Light's dad goes to do the exchange. And as he's at the airport getting ready to get on the plane, dude shows up from the mafia, is like, "Hey, you're getting on this plane instead." And fucking the pilot just kind of like hijacks the plane and lands it in the middle of the desert to drop him off, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And like they have like this interesting like spot to do the exchange. So apparently it was used by like some sort of gang for like drug exchanges and such. But it's like this glass revolving door thing in the middle of like an underground tunnel. And there's like they have it rigged in such a way that like, you can't just take whatever is put in there. You have to like be like a full revolution, and it's like the glass is bulletproof, so you can't just like shoot people through it or whatever. Like it's like a whole thing.
It's one of those things that can only exist in fictional media.
Yeah. But ends up being like they do the exchange because there's no really way to avoid it. And then the fucking dude flies away in a helicopter, and then they fire a fucking missile, which they apparently put the notebook on because they can't track it by radar. And they just fucking fire the bitch. And then Mello kills pretty much everybody who was involved in the exchange.
Yep.
Like on his side of it, like all of his people that was on part of the exchange.
Yeah, that's one of those moments too where you realize how much more ruthless he is.
Oh yeah, which you wouldn't think that he would just be that. There had to be some sort of setup to that, but because he was just living in an orphanage, just doing like brain teasers and shit. Where the fuck they do there, I don't know. To try and train the next L.
Yeah,
and apparently he was just like when he found out about L, he was just like, "Fuck this, I'm leaving. I'm almost 15 anyway." So he left when he was 14. This is 5 years later, so he's 19 years old, and he's just killing motherfuckers left and right. Like, what did you do for those 5 years? That's what I want to see that story.
Yeah. So does he have the notebook by this point or not yet?
Mello, yeah, he got the notebook.
I know Mello gets one of them. Doesn't Nier gets one too, doesn't he?
That's not until that's not during this reading.
Okay. Oh no, I'm thinking of about how Nier discovers the rules on the book were fake.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because at this point, Mello has that notebook that they just exchanged that the task force had.
Yeah.
And then Light and Misa each have their own notebook.
Yes. Yep.
So hold on. Oh yeah, so this is the point where Sido realizes that his notebook is missing, and he comes down because he comes around and just starts bugging Ryuk about his notebook. And he's just like, look, I don't know where it is. Some other dude took it, and I'm not attached to it anymore, so I can't really help you.
I do like the fact that when he first appears, he's in the room with Light and like Misa, and he's just like, can we like, I gotta step outside real quick. He's like, I can't do this here. They just leave.
And apparently one of the first things Mello does is he kills like half of the people on Nier's team. Who I don't think we mentioned, they're all FBI and CIA agents that joined his group.
Yes.
And he kills like all but like 4 of them. I think because it was Nier. There's a black-haired dude, the dude that talked to Light's dad, and the chick, right? It's just those 4. And Nier, obviously. But apparently, like we find out later that he knew the names of 2 more of them. He just decided to leave them for later. Which ended up working out for him.
Yeah, it's one of those rare cases where they do something. I'm just like, why are they leaving easy ways for them to get fucked later? But I guess in this case, he was okay.
Yeah. But by this point, Light and Nier decide to exchange information about like where their investigations have taken them so far. This is where Light tells him about all the rules in the notebook, and Nier mentions that Mello is from Whammy's house, and they were trying to like raise the next L. And then Mello calls Light's dad because apparently he just kept his number. It's just like, hey, I want to ask you some questions about some stuff. And at this point, like he's pretty much a permanent hostage because Mello had the notebook, and if he needed to, he could just kill him or his daughter or whomever he wanted to with it.
Yeah, and he's just at this point. But the sad part is we just watch his dad just like break as a human, and like he's just so mentally done by this point.
And then Mello's follow-up is like, I'm gonna call the president of the United States, and I'm gonna demand all this shit from him.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call it George Bush because it was clearly George Bush they were going for.
Well, the second guy was clearly George Bush.
Yeah, as I saw him, I'm like, I'm like, yep, you're not being subtle here, guys.
Yeah, no. There's another. Actually, there was a bonus chapter that was released like 5 or 6 years ago, and they do a very similar thing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We'll get there eventually. But yeah, he calls up the president. He's like, we want funding, we want weapons, resources. I want all the information you have on the SPK. And if you don't do any of this shit, then I will control you with the notebook and make you fire nuclear missiles at other countries. And obviously, even though he doesn't know that that's technically impossible, he does what he's told. But then the president contacts Light as L to try and figure out a way out of this whole situation.
Yeah.
To which he is then told, the notebook doesn't work that way. It can't make people kill other people. So you don't have to worry about him making you fire missiles or nothing. But he convinces him to stay in contact with him so that he can now use the president of the United States as a tool.
Yeah, the web just keeps getting more and more complicated.
Yeah. And while all this is going on, Misa's just been scrolling through known members of the mafia, just trying to find somebody who has a name but not a lifespan, so she can tell who has the notebook.
Misa's entire character arc throughout this entire thing is she's doing that, or Light shows up. She's like, Light, be a boyfriend. And he's like, no.
He's like, no.
She's like, and then she literally just becomes the okay face meme where she's like, okay. It was just an excuse for the artist to draw her in fucking lingerie whenever he got a chance. That was really about it.
Pretty much. But eventually Light is able to work out where Mello's hideout is. And he sends in the strike team provided by the president to just storm the place and just fucking kill everybody and take the notebook back. But this is when it's revealed that Sido had gotten into contact with Mello and had been convinced to help them. So he was running around ripping off everybody's helmets while Mello wrote their names in the notebook. And yeah, that plan did not work out.
Yeah.
And then by that point, Light's real mad about the whole situation. And
yeah, we're really starting to see him break as a character here.
Yeah, he's starting to realize that he's not as fucking infallible as he thought he was.
Yeah, yep.
And then he realizes that Ryuk knew that there was another Shinigami around and just starts fucking like berating him about it. And ultimately,
he blows up at so many people here. Like he blows up at Ryuk, he blows up at Misa, and Misa's just doing her job.
I'm surprised Ryuk takes it, honestly. Because there's no rule saying that Ryuk can't just kill him just because he feels like it. Actually, specifically, he's supposed to kill him in the end. Like, because he says that right at the beginning. He's like, when it's your time to die, I have to write your name in my notebook. And that's how this whole thing ends.
The foreshadowing of it.
Yes. But ultimately, he bullies Ryuk into helping him with the whole process. And then, see, this part, it made more sense in the manga, so I kind of give it a little bit of a pass. But watching it in the anime, like, the logic behind it didn't make any sense to me.
Mm.
And I felt like it was kind of a stretch that everyone on the task force just buys it. So he sends one of his death notes to the task force as Kira and says, hey, I don't like that these criminals have the notebook. So here, take my notebook and I'll you can use it to do what you need to do to fucking get the thing back. And they all just kind of accept it.
Mm.
Like, in a way, like the way they explain it in the manga, like, is like, well, I still have access to the Death Note's powers, so it's not like I'm really like losing anything. And I'd rather the good guys have the notebook than literally the mafia, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just the whole idea of it just doesn't make sense to me. Like I just don't get why they would just accept it blindly. And it makes sense that why Nier would be suspicious about it, you know?
Mm.
But let's see, where was I? But yeah, they end up like figuring out everything they need to like, track down Mello again. And Light is expecting Matsuda to volunteer to make the ideal, but is like completely floored when his dad's like, no, it's gotta be me. Because by this point, he's already kind of like thought about just killing himself.
Yeah.
Because like in his mindset, it makes sense because he's like this super straight laced, like by the books cop, like one of those stereotypical cop characters. And he's also like very dedicated to his family. So at this point, like he let his love for his family compromise his job that he also takes very seriously. and now he sees himself as a liability because he's literally just a source of information for Mello, and there's nothing he could do to fight against it. So, like, at this point, he sees himself as a liability. He's not providing anything to the task force. He's not providing anything to his family in a way in his mind, because now, just because if I even do one thing that Mello doesn't like, he could just kill my whole family, you know? So he's at a point right now where he's like, really, this is the best use of my ability. Like, there's nothing else I can do that will help. So he ends up they decide that he's going to make the ideal, and he's going to be part of the strike force that comes in and fucking. Oh, right, because part of the whole thing was that, like, Kira, quote unquote, had written down all the known mafia members in their circle before he sent the notebook. So it was like, all right, well, at this point, there's nothing you can do. Their names are already written down. So if you want the best possible chance to get that notebook back, you have to storm in at this exact time when they're all going to die of heart attacks. Which is, it's a good plan when you think about it. So when the raid starts, Ryuk convinces Sido to just not help the humans, because if he doesn't help them, then he could just have his notebook back. And then, like, as all the mafia members die of the heart attacks, everyone rushes in. And then Mello's just kind of hiding up in this room. He's like, I'm going to blow up the building. So only you come in with the notebook that you have, and, like, you know, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And he takes the helmet off, whatever. He's like, oh, it's you again. That figures. And, you know, basically they're doing the whole thing where, like, Light's dad reads Mello's name out loud. So now Light has his name. So that's something. But basically, like, they're having this whole argument about, like, you know, turn yourself in, blah, blah, blah. And then fucking one of the dudes on the ground, everybody thought was a corpse, turns out is not dead. And he rolls over and just lights up Light's dad. Like, just fucking shoots him all to hell.
Yeah. And even though he's wearing bulletproof armor, it doesn't mean much when you're point blank.
Yeah, when you're point blank, and I mean, there's still obviously, like, going to be spots where you can't protect. I'm pretty sure he got hit in the neck, so
yeah.
So that's not good. And then Mello fucking, you know, obviously they hear the bullets, everybody else rushes in. Mello hits the button, the whole place blows up. But apparently they had built that specific room to be bomb-proof. So everyone who was inside is okay, including Mello, even though they don't know it yet. Well, everyone who isn't Light's dad. And, you know, they take him to the hospital. You know, at this point, they have the notebook. You know, they got it back. But at what cost? Because he is dying very, very clearly and very quickly.
You know what the worst part about this scene was for me? Like, this is, like, the only, like, legitimately good character we've had in the series is dying.
Yeah.
And Light's reaction to it is so shitty. Like,
yeah.
Like, he doesn't give a shit his dad's died. He's like, please sign the notebook. You can do it. And I'm just like,
I mean, I think he does care, just not as much as he cares about the whole Kira thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where I was like, damn, man. Like,
I mean, there's a reason why he's gone out of his way to try and kind of, like, he's kind of like jumping through hoops to kind of give the excuse of not killing his family if he can avoid it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the easiest way for him to just be okay is if, as soon as Elle died, he just killed everyone on the task force. But he didn't want to do that because his dad's part of the task force. And then, like, when Sayu got kidnapped, he's like, well, I could just kill her and then it wouldn't be a problem. And then they'd know, well, this whole kidnapping situation is pointless because Kira's just going to keep killing the person we kidnapped. But, you know, so he cares about his family to a degree, just not enough.
He cares about them until he doesn't. It's one of those annoying, like, relationship trope things that I'm always kind of like iffy on.
Yeah, I feel you. Trust me, I'm not defending him, but I do think he feels something about it.
The whole scene that just got me the most there was when his dad's like, "I'm so glad I can die knowing you weren't Kira." I'm like, that's tragic. Like that's just tragic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because at this point he had given up ownership of the notebook, but he was wearing it like under his clothes so that it was still in contact with his skin and he wouldn't lose his memory.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know.
complicated plan.
I read. It's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um. So at this point, he dies, and then fucking they give the notebook back to Sido, and he goes away. So now there's only 2 notebooks in the world.
yep.
And at this point, Nier is starting to suspect that L is Kira.
I'm
But
amazed he's only starting. Like it's kind of obvious.
well, at this point, it's like, yeah, it's a possibility, and that is the suspect that I have, so that's what I'm going to pursue at the moment. But he's only like 7% sure, I think he says.
Hmm.
So until he gets more information, he's kind of just like, yeah, I'm going to move forward in this direction, but it could easily be something else. Um. Oh, and the current president has died. And George Bush takes over. So yeah, that's something.
It's very clearly George Bush.
It's very obviously George Bush.
Both the way he looks and the way they write him. I'm just like,
Mm.
part of me wonders if this was Viz translating a little bit, but I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I think it was just the author.
I don't know. There was just points where I'm like, did they exaggerate it just to make it worse, or I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
It was just funny me reading it. I'm like, yeah, this was definitely the mid 2000s.
Then we have this interesting moment where, oh yeah, because this is the point where Bush is like, yeah, the U.S. isn't going to oppose Kira anymore.
I love that we're just calling him Bush, even though he's technically unnamed.
No, he has a name. It's just not Bush, but
It's
we're
Bush.
just gonna call him George. We're just gonna call him George Bush.
Was,
So he's like, yeah, we don't support Kira, but we're also not going to stand against him. So we're just going to shut all programs related to that down and just let it be what it is. And like after that press conference, we have this moment where Matsuda is like really starting to wonder like if Kira's like actually evil. And it starts this really interesting conversation within the task force because obviously like the other members like Aizawa and Ide, like they're both like, no, or Mogi, like they're all like, no, what are you talking about? Of course he's evil. He's like this and that, but like, and Matsuda puts up a lot of good points. He's like, well, like I feel like as twisted as it is, like he is trying to do good in the world and he's trying to make a difference. And at the end of the day, I'm a cop and I'm still going to go after him, but I just can't believe that he's evil. Which I mean, we, the reader, who's been seeing all the behind the scenes stuff as we go along, it's like, no, he's pretty evil.
yeah,
but
no.
But I understand where he's coming from, and it makes sense. And that's the same kind of shit that Light's been using to justify his actions this whole time.
The thing that bothers me about Light's whole plan at times is like the whole like he goes about it in like this way that he's like, I'm doing good, I'm killing bad people, but then he's like his motivation for it is like literally like I'm bored.
I'm just literally. He literally said that in chapter 1. He's like, I'm doing this because I am bored. And then eventually he ends up buying his own bullshit.
Yeah. It's like he's just such a he is the best villain protagonist probably in an anime manga because my god, he's
definitely up there.
He is a absolute shithead at this point.
For real. Yeah, he's definitely up there as far as villain protagonists go.
Like when I was watching the anime, like the farther you get in, the more you're just like, why am I rooting for this guy? Like you stop rooting for him after a while and you're just like, it's like you're like you kind of like just like it. There's a reason why they say like the second half of the series loses the plot because by this point you're just like, what are we doing? Like where is it going?
I get that. Well, because I mean the biggest like the biggest conceit of the show was Light versus L. And then when L died, it was like, oh, so are we done? Oh, no, we're not done. Okay. These two guys over here. And like, I can understand to a degree why a lot of people feel cheated by that. But reading through this section of the manga again with Nier and Mellow's introduction and like getting into the weeds of them as characters and progressing the story, like I honestly think they just get a bad rap. I think they're a lot more interesting characters than they get credit for.
That's kind of my problem with it. Is they're like the best part of this part of it. Light is just his character has diminished so much at this point that I'm like, he honestly kind of drags them down a little because like they have these great characters, but they're dealing with like this guy who's just slowly losing his mind.
Yeah, and like Nier and Mellow have such an interesting chemistry between each other too.
Mm.
That goes beyond Light, you know.
Like it'd be kind of interesting if like just rewriting history here a little. If like after Light becomes like in charge, he kind of just disappears for a while. And then we like focused on just them for a bit and built them up as characters, and then Light made a return.
That would be interesting.
Because the problem here is like they have such an interesting character thing, but they're dealing with Light, who's like his plan is so fucking a mess at this point. Because he's like, they kind of just ran out. They kind of like forgot what he was even doing at this point.
Yeah. So at this point, Nier has a whole plan to try and flush out Mellow. He decides he's going to. Well, I mean, at this point, he kind of doesn't have a choice, but he's going to officially disband the SPK because he thinks that Mellow will make contact with one of the SPK members that he left alive earlier to try and get information on Kira and on Nier, and it happens almost immediately because he's even like, yeah, he's probably gonna go after what's her name, Hal Lidner, because she's a lady and she'll be easier to overpower if it comes to it, and that's almost exactly what happens. Although apparently what Nier doesn't know is that they already know each other. Like Mello and Hal already have some sort of history. We don't know what that history pertains, but they have met each other before. Yeah, he's waiting for her in her apartment, and like she like goes and takes a shower, and they're just talking while she's in the shower. It's like a really weird kind of scene. It makes me wonder if they were like banging at some point or not.
I don't know, to be honest.
They don't really go into detail about it, but it kind of there's some tension there.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he has a gun on her like the whole time. But ultimately he tells her like, "Hey, bring me to Nier. I want to talk to him." And when he gets there, like they have like their little argument. They're all pointing guns at each other, and eventually they're like, "All right, cut it out. We're just gonna talk, and then when we're done talking, you're gonna leave, and it's gonna be fine." And Nier's like, "Hey, I got your picture. You probably want that back, don't you?" And yeah, so he takes the picture back, and he's like, "All right, well, you did that for me, so I guess I'll throw you a bone." So Shinigami are real, and one of the rules are fake.
Yep.
And he just accepts it, like, immediately. He's just like, "Oh, well, if he was going to come up with a lie, it wouldn't have been something as crazy as that, so it must be true." And well, he's like, "All right, one of the rules is fake," and he's like, "Well, there's only one rule really that it could be, because it's the only one that hasn't been tested yet."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then oh yeah, at this point, Light is ordering George Bush to investigate the SPK members to determine who they are. And Demigawa, remember him? All the way back from when Misa was introduced? Yeah, he's back. And he has announced himself.
Yeah, him. I forgot he was an older character.
Oh yeah, he has announced himself as the official spokesperson for Kira, and like Sakura TV is doing like specifically like we are the Kira channel now, I guess. and they're encouraging people who support Kira to come forward and join the cult, I guess.
Yeah.
Everyone come and drink the Kool-Aid. And then Nier calls them up, and he's like, "Hey, so I caught Mello, but then he escaped. But we talked for a little while, and he mentioned Shinigami, and I was like, Airlight's like, yeah, they're real. I just didn't bring it up before because I didn't think you'd believe me." And he's like, all right, well, he also said that one of the rules is fake in the notebook. If you had to guess, which one would you say it is? And he's like, this fucking motherfucker. He's like, well, if I had to fucking guess, I'd say it's the 13-day rule because it's the only one that makes sense in context. But I mean, Mello is the one who told you. Are you really gonna believe him? Trying to fucking throw that doubt in there. But like, no, come on, man. We all know that that's the one. If there's a fake one, that's the one.
Yeah.
And then Nier starts questioning them about their relationship with the previous cell. Like, did you all see his face? Did you work directly with him in person? Like all that other stuff, and pretty much gets all the answers he was expecting. And like this is like starting to kind of sow the seeds of doubt for the task force regarding Light. Because they all know that full history with Light's detainment and the suspicion against him that like L just would not let it go no matter how many times they quote unquote proved his innocence.
Yeah.
He just would not let it go. So like with that in the back of their minds, and now the possibility of the 13-day rule being fake, it's like, oh shit, maybe he is the guy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of starting that whole mindset for them. And then Nier suggests, hey, let's test that rule, and I'll write Mello's name in the notebook, and if I die, then the rule is real and Kira wins. And I'm willing to make that bet. But ultimately, they all, Light has enough sense to fucking take a vote, and they all decide, no, we have to value human life. So they decline the test. Then Mello contacts Mogi of all people. I don't understand why that. Why him? Like,
yeah, I don't know. He's got a fun name.
The big tough dude who doesn't talk like ever. It's just like he's the one I'm gonna call.
Because Mello and Mogi are M names, and I don't know.
I don't know. Well, anyway, Mello's like, hey, come meet up with me in New York. For context, guys, I didn't realize this until like halfway through this whole spiel. They're in LA right now. And he's like, hey, come to New York and meet up with me. And he's like, okay. So he hops on a plane and he goes to New York. And like Mello's kind of like leading him along, like, hey, go to this place. He's like, all right, well, you can see this building over here. Go there. And by the time he gets to the end, it's like he finds himself at the SPK headquarters. Like, oh, fuck. Like, I was coming here to meet Mello, and now I'm in front of Nier. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Which was a really well played strategy on Mello's part, because it's like, okay, so I can risk free. I can send one of them over to Nier's place, and then I can mine information from both of them without actually having to be there. But Mogi lives up to his reputation and literally doesn't say a single fucking word the entire time he's there. I think until Aizawa calls him on the phone is the only time he speaks, and it's like 2 sentences. And even in the moment, too, Nier's like, oh shit, he can talk.
Yeah. It's always a quiet one.
So at this point, the mistrust is growing even more within the task force. And I feel like at this point, like it's mostly Aizawa who's starting to question things, because Matsuda he's just too quick to just accept shit. And
yep, that'll bite him later.
And Ide wasn't there for any of the containment shit or detainment. Like he had quit the task force before they even met L.
Yeah.
And then I don't think he rejoined it until like right before L died. So he missed that whole thing. So at this point, like Aizawa is the one who's really questioning everything.
Mm.
And eventually, Light contacts Demigawa as Kira and convinces them to storm the headquarters that Nier is at to just fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And then the second they show up, because at this point Mogi's been there for 2 days, hasn't said a word, just been sitting there with them, not being allowed to leave. And as soon as like Demigawa and all the Kira fucking fanatics and crazies show up, he calls them up and he's just like, "Yeah, so L is Kira. The timing of this is way too specific. There's no way because nobody would know that I was even here. So I'm just going to say right now, L is Kira." And this is the point where Aizawa was like, "All right, I gotta do something about this because this is getting a little too convenient." And then I love Nier's strategy here to get away from like the giant mob that's fucking threatening to fucking kill him.
Yeah.
Is he? So it isn't mentioned up to this point, but Nier had inherited all the money L had made being the greatest detective in the world for like 15 years. And he just dumps it all out of a helicopter, or like, no, he dumps it out of like one of the higher stories of the building that he's in. Like, millions and millions and millions of dollars he's just dumping out. And everyone is so distracted by the money that they just slip out, disguised in like riot gear. And then when Nier finally makes contact with them again, he lies to them and tells them that Mogi died. And that was kind of like a way to like give the members of the task force that extra push to be like, oh well, if he's dead from that whole thing, then I think the chances of Light being Kira are actually pretty fucking good. So I'm gonna call Nier up and I'm gonna cooperate with him. And then as soon as Aizawa gets there, he's like, "Yeah, so I lied. Mogi's alive. He's right here. I said that to kind of give you guys the push you needed to actually contact me and talk to me about this shit." And at this point, Light's kind of freaking out. He's like going over to contingency plans because he already knows that he's kind of in the shit right now.
Yeah.
So he tells Misa to give up ownership of her Death Note so that she'd forget everything, and he has her send the notebook to someone, and we'll just leave that at that for now, because we are setting up for another new Kira to take the stage.
Yep.
And Aizawa, when he meets up with Nier, tells them all about L's suspicions of Light and his containment and then release because of the 13-day rule and all that other stuff. And well, he doesn't specifically name Light because he's still technically aligned with him. But when he explains the whole situation about what happened with his dad when he did the whole fake "I'm gonna kill you then myself" thing, that was the detail that gave it away, because he's like, well, why would a police chief just say I'm gonna kill myself after I kill Kira? The only explanation is that it was his kid.
Yeah.
So pretty much that gives him the information he needs, and he's like, okay, Light Yagami is L and therefore Kira, and that is where we leave off.
Yeah, it was really, everything just kind of like goes to shit like really fast.
Yeah, very quickly.
And we'll learn in the next one, the next set of actually we'll be finishing the story up next round, I believe.
Yeah, the mainline story, yes.
We learn really fast that Light's not going to take this well.
No.
And it's going to be a very extreme fall apart.
Yeah, for sure. Because we still like, I was having a lot of trouble deciding the cutoff point for this one. Because at first I was like, well, maybe after, Light's dad dies. And I was like, well, it seems like it's not enough chapters. Like, it feels like that happened a lot quicker than I expected it to. So that I had to kind of like work around it again and try to figure that out. I figured like near learning his name was a good place to stop it.
Yeah.
It was kind of almost exactly the midpoint between where we were and the end of the story. So
yeah,
it ended up working out in that way. So, but there was a lot of stuff going on in this section. Like,
yeah, it's
a lot of events.
Yeah. It's weird. I still like the story, but this second half is very all over the place.
But that's also part and parcel of just like the whole concept there being two of them, you know? Like we have Nier and Mello who have very different styles, very different ways of doing things. So things are going to kind of, well, first of all, there's going to be twice as many things happening because they're both making moves.
Yeah.
But also it like light's being pulled in so many different directions because of that it makes the story take on a different kind of tone.
Yeah. Honestly, I think my big problem with the second half of Death Note is light more than anything.
Because Elwood played like the long game. Like he would come up with like a strategy and then he'd be working on the strategy over time and then he'd fucking throw in like a fucking random like, oh, by the way, I'm L. Like he'd just throw out some random shit like that and be like, oh fuck, I can't do anything to him now. Like,
yeah. Yeah, because I don't know. It's one of those things where I wish we could go back and like things could have been a little different just for knowing what we know now. It's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah, I think part of it too is because the author didn't plan this story out. This is
it's clear.
This is a seat of the pants kind of story.
Because he kind of finished it halfway through and then went shit.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, like it's also like I know I've mentioned this in the other ones, but it's so fucking impressive. Like the depth of storytelling that he goes into, and he didn't plan any of it. He just kind of came up with it week to week.
Yeah. Well, no, there's a whole reason why they had to make an extra volume just to explain shit because, yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy though.
Huh?
Oh, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, I think this section, upon this reread, I'm a lot fonder on than I have been in the past. I think part of that is just because I think Nier and Mello are just way better characters than they get credit for.
They're the best part. I think the fact is like they really should have done more with them themselves. I feel like the rivalry between the two of them was a missed opportunity. I feel like they could have done so much more there.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I said it earlier, but I really think like having Light disappear for a while and then just making like their shit be like the main story for a while. And then have
kind of like the fourth,
back.
Yeah, kind of like the fourth season of Attack on Titan, where it's like we're gonna focus on these people now, and then like he comes in randomly. It's like I'm gonna fuck everything up.
Yeah, because the problem with this whole thing is like you're trying to get into like Nier and Mello's like whole dynamic, and then Light pops up, and Light's just so a mess at this point now, and he kind of just derails everything.
He's just over there like, yes, I am the ultimate mastermind. Worship me as though I was a god. Like, no,
yeah, and it's kind of
relax,
like,
buddy.
It's just kind of like that little like wedge in like this what could have been very interesting. Because if he had come back like as like we to the point where we'd forgotten about him for a while, and then he all of a sudden showed up, it would have been a much more interesting thing than just seeing this gradual like decline that we were seeing as it goes on.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like, yeah, we hadn't seen him in like the 5-year time skip, and like we're focusing on the other characters, and then he shows up and he's just so fucking deranged. Like, and obviously he has to keep a lid on it so that people don't notice, but like, you know, we as you know, the readers who are seeing his inner monologues and shit, like we know how far he's fucking derailed. You know? So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We still have one more big section of the story left
it's actually kind of crazy. We're going in the next round, we're going to be wrapping up all 3 of the main stories we're currently on.
Yep.
Because Dragon Ball will be done for the time being.
Still no word on when that's coming back.
But at least we know it's coming back.
Yeah.
Just not at when. Yu-Gi-Oh! Will definitely be done, and then Death Note will be the main story will be done.
Yes, which would mean there are there is apparently a whole separate arc for Yu-Gi-Oh that was done separately. And also there are like extra shit for Death Note I would like to cover in the future. Like with the short story collection that was released recently. Yeah. And I'd like to cover the light novel at some point as well.
Yeah.
But as far as like the mainline stories, yeah, we'll be wrapping them all up in the next round, which is wild. We've been working on these since like the beginning of last year, right?
Yeah. Probably even before that, honestly. Because I think we agreed we were going to do as an in between before we get into a new set of a new rotation. We were going to do another Pokemon. We were going to do Diamond and Pearl Platinum in between.
Yeah, well, I was thinking we could even do Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Black and White.
We could.
But that's up to you.
Yeah, we could potentially. It's gonna be a lot of reading, but we could do that.
Well, we wouldn't do them all at once, you know. It'd
well,
be the same way we do this.
We do Diamond and Pearl, then. Well, Heart Gold, Soul Silver will be like the easiest one. That's 2 volumes.
Yeah.
Well, if we did Black and White, then we'd probably have to do Black and White 2 as well.
I still got to get those books.
That's fair. I mean, there's plenty of time before we even get there, but
yeah, we got a ways to go. But I mean, I'm cool with just doing Diamond and Pearl if we want to do that. We'll figure out the logistics of it. But either way, once we get to the next, after we finish the next Death Note episode, the one we do after that will be Diamond and Pearl.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll figure it out from there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think with that, once again, everybody, thank you for joining us on Geek Addicts. You can find Geek Addicts on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that fun shit. And be sure to check us out on the Superpod Network, superpodnetwork.com. Awesome site where you can find all sorts of different videos, blogs, podcasts, a whole bunch of awesome stuff going on there. But anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us. We will see you all later.
Have a good one.